Oh,
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. The next Wasteless World Talks are here with Kevin, Bill, and myself to write the future on the back of language. And today's term does not came from me, but it came from Bill. Because last time when I asked him, "How are you, Bill?" he said Ducky, and the term was new to me. And it was so interesting that I selected it for this week. But I will start today with you, Kevin. So if you hear the term Ducky, what came first to your mind, please?
Well, it's actually a story that relates very closely with artificial intelligence. And that was in the in the 1870s and 1880s, mankind, instead of trying to make artificial intelligence, decided to make artificial life. And so the culmination of this attempt was a mechanical duck. But this mechanical duck could not only swim, could not only quack, but it could eat, and most importantly, it could defecate. And I think if that's not getting ducky, then nothing is.
That's a story which I never heard of, and thank you for that. And what about you, Bill? I think it will be hard to beat.
that'll be hard to beat. I'm not even gonna try. Okay, Ducky Ducky is from the 1950s. So when somebody asked you, so how are you? And today, what do we say? Today we say fine, right? But back then we said Ducky. I don't know where that came from. Maybe my father. I don't know. Ducky, meaning everything's good. Like we say fine. But everybody, when you ask somebody today, how are you? And they say fine, you know that's not the story. You know that's not the truth because every one of us carries around with us, worries. Maybe it's just putting food on the table. Maybe it's your uh, lover is angry at you, or there's a thousand things, and we carry that around. And when you see somebody on the streets and they say, "So how you doing, Bill?" You're not going to get into all that. You are not going to go down that rabbit hole. So you say fine, or you say Ducky.
In the noon discussion, we came because the other people have 2 more days to prepare for that. So you know it, you know the term 1 minute before the start, but they have 2 days. And one of those find out that the word came from 15th century. So from England, and it means something very different than what you describe. I don't remember. It is somewhere described in a Oxford vocabulary or somewhere. But what was interesting, as you speak about the greetings, some time ago we spoke about the greetings as well, and I changed my mind because in Czech we don't ask how are you, we ask what's new. Co je nového? What's new? And the standard answer is nothing. Is the standard answer. And just before last Christmas, I realized it's completely wrong. Completely. It cannot be wronger. Because everything is new. And just now I use this answer everywhere. If somebody is asking, and every single time when I say everything, you can see the confusion in the eyes of the people. They don't know what to do. And my mom asked me every single day the same question, what's new? And I answer every single day the same answer, and she is confused. I'm very sorry for her, but she is confused every time. But it is great to change, But what I have learned in the noon discussion, that for example, in cricket, in India, Ducky is a term which is used when the player was not successful, something like that. So they use the term Ducky. In Philippines, is used is when you say you are my teddy bear or something with laugh, you say Ducky, which I didn't know. So it's quite interesting.
I think the Indian version may come from cricket, because if you're out for a zero, then you're out for a duck.
I think,
Then
and
then
I,
you're what? You're out for duck?
Yeah, you're out for a duck. And if you're out for the first ball, you're out for a golden duck. So a duck is,
Really? So there is a story behind that one.
yeah. But it's the same in Denmark. The Danes, they have this greeting, and they always ask, how's it going? In English, sometimes in Danish as well. But of course, they expect the same answer, which is fine. And I often reply, like a rat up a pipe. And
Like a
that's
what?
a rat up a pipe. And that stops everything because, like you have to think about it for a second.
Yep, yep, yep.
That must mean good. And then they say, is this a usual answer in England? Yes.
Uh, so what I guess what this is turning into is a discussion of greetings, right? Perhaps. So greetings. I changed my greeting um, a few years ago. I used to say I'd say, "Hi, my name is Bill McClain. What do you do?" Right? I mean, you're trying to get some common discussion between the two. So what do you do? Which always leads back to, what's your purpose or what company do you work for, or something like that. Which in networking is what you're trying to find out. But I changed that a couple years ago to, "Hi, my name's Bill McClain. What do you do for fun?" Completely different answer. Completely
Yeah.
different answer, right? What do you do for fun? I like to fish. Whatever. Completely different answer.
and I think it's great. I don't know whether you noticed, in a few days should fall down from the orbit Soyuz 44, which was a satellite sent to the orbit. It should fly to Mars 53 years ago. It never left the orbit, I think, but it will come down to Earth between 7th and 10th of May. And I just during the noon discussion, I just realized it is like coming with new term, new word. You send it into the universe of language, and frequently you can do it, and you don't care. But then there are people who care, like me, about Industry 5.0 and so on. And you push, you watch, you care, and you see how it's growing. But sometimes it's like with the Ducky. It was there in 15th century, then it somehow disappeared, came again, disappeared, came again. And it will be exactly like with this satellite. I don't think that we get into hands many things which stay in orbit for 53 years. It's a long time. So if they will be able to get it down without to be burned, it will be very interesting for many, probably.
Yeah. Any idea what fuel is powering it?
I don't know. I just get the news today in the morning. It was quite interesting.
So
Actually, thinking
if
about
you
sorry, go on.
go ahead, Kevin. Go ahead.
I was going back to greeting. So you go ahead, Bill.
I if I got to choose my profession all over again and studied for it and so on, it would be, what's the word for it? Someone who studies language. Part of that is someone who studies words, and like go back to Shakespeare and look at some of those words, right? Or look at the words that our parents used. Um, anymore. Um, but they're simply not used anymore. And try to dig into, why are they not used? Why do we stop using a word? I don't know. Um, oh, and I'll bet you that there a lot of are used and again in the 20th century. What made them go away? What made them come back? Is that? And I think we do, and it's we we take to a word and then we start using it, and then other people, and it's just like this community that we. It, that's like you always say. That's the future comes on the back of language, right? Some I like the word. It makes people stop and for a minute and remember they did hear that 50 years ago. So then they start to use it too. And so if we start talking about waste and someone listens and then they start using it too. And how does that grow? There's got to be a mathematical um, equation that states how fast it grows by how many people use it, by how many people, there's something there. Why do people pick up on things, some things, and not on others? Is there a likability quotient that a certain word has or a certain concept has? Like I remember when Michael first explained waste to me, and I'm thinking, that's great, that's great, that's great. Why have I never heard this before? And there was a likability to the concept, and and I'll bet you people around the world, well, I know people around the world are talking about it because he talked about it, and because there's a likability quotient to that, and it's just the same as the word ducky. There's a likability quotient to that. Okay.
So, Kevin?
I was thinking also about original meanings. And back to this greeting, if you think about if someone says, "How are you?" That if you take those words literally, it is the most decent question you could ask because then you get the answer, well, I'm slightly left leaning. I don't like authoritarianism. I'm normally in a good mood. It would be so nice if we could introduce ourselves by our characteristics rather than asking, how are you, meaning how are you feeling, but how are you as a human being? Wouldn't that be interesting?
Wouldn't that be interesting? And how many people would tell you the truth in their answer?
That would be great fun because the more honest, the more charming, the more disarming it's going to be.
You spoke, Bill, you spoke about the linguistic as a research. I receive time to time the linguistic research for Industry 5.0, who someone write and so on. So I see it's quite complicated, filled with words which I do not understand, charts and so on. So boring reading, which I don't read. I just check whether they speak about myself and about 2015, which is the year of origin. That's the important part, which almost no one does. The crazy part about it is that when you ask these people again, and we are back to our last discussion, hubris show up immediately. How can you ask? It cannot be only one founder and millions reasons why I cannot be the founder. The crazy part, yesterday evening, I mentioned probably the name of Jeff Winter. Jeff Winter is a US industrial speaker and expert in Industry 4.0 and so on. And he is the one who said for years, who say Industry 5.0 does not exist. Every single time he said that, I wrote in his comments on LinkedIn that, sorry, it is existing, I'm here, and gave him until he blocked me. And so I'm blocked for 2 years, which blocking on LinkedIn means you don't see anything of the person, and the person does not see anything of you. It's like we have been non-existing. But yesterday evening, in the last Industry 5.0 development control, Google delivered message that Jeff Winters wrote about article about Industry 5.0. And I have a way how to look at it through friends. And that was crazy. You know, this guy who said for years it does not exist started his sentence with, maybe we cannot go around, it is here. and he even changed his own block, entering my name inside the block in the middle of long text. There is my name. There was nothing about me before. And it's crazy because I cannot contact him and tell him and his 500,000 followers. He is really in the US like a celebrity. I cannot tell them that it is so. Simply, it is so. So it's quite crazy how the term is evolving. And it's even more crazy if you look at it and you really watch it from a distance, how it works. But I can say, if there will be not support, it will disappear. It will not exist in the form as it is existing today. It will be hijacked, it will be whatever, we discussed it many times. So I think for a new term, it is very important that there is someone who have it in the heart and spread it. Because without him or her, it will not survive.
Yep, I would look back at the plays that Shakespeare wrote. He said them to an audience, and to people who would read the plays, and they became passionate about Macbeth or whatever it was about the kings and the murders and the jealousy and all the things that he wrote about. And people embraced that sort of scenario for many different reasons. I'm not a psychologist. Maybe because their lives were boring. They were looking for something to spice up their lives. Um, but they they liked it. And it's the same way with waste. I I embraced waste, the concept of waste and what to do about it from our conversation. I don't think I'd ever thought about it before. But there has to be something that the heart embraces. And then if you get others to also get excited about that, it spreads. Maybe like COVID, maybe like love, but it spreads.
YouTube is doing, I don't know how, but it's somehow watching, listening to our conversation, and time to time put some slight image that we spoke about this person or this person. And I was looking back in some discussion. Don't ask me which one it was. And there is Adolf Hitler below our discussion. I don't know why, but he was there. But as you said, the term somehow resonate with you. The crazy part is, even if I read the Industry 5.0 fake research papers, whatever, they are writing about waste prevention. It was never in any of the industrial revolution, they never spoke about waste prevention. But they speak every time about it since the introduction. And that's crazy because if you would like to, you will track the origin. They don't want to, it's too complicated and so on. But it's so nice. And when we spoke about the Ducky in the noon discussion, then I said, okay, we are Duckies. We like each other. We are friends. We are duckies. It's nice.
I never thought of myself as a ducky.
Until today. Until today.
Until today, and that adds an additional meaning to the word. So I'll file that away.
Try to tell it to your grandchildren. Try to call them ducky. What will be their reaction? Will it be positive, negative, neutral? I don't know.
I can almost tell you immediately what it's going to be. It's going to be 2 seconds of blank face as they put it back into their brains and try to figure where to file that one, right? So is Granddaddy calling me a good name or a bad name, or what kind of name is it? Oh, it's a funny name. Okay, then and then once it gets filed, their facial expression will change.
Kevin, you are muted. You are muted, Kevin.
Ducky comes from the 50s. I remember reading that in the 50s, if something was cool, it was described as hot.
Yeah, yeah. So what's that connection? What is that connection with Ducky? Cool and hot. Ducky?
Yeah, so what was a ducky? What is a ducky today?
I don't know if anybody would recognize that word today.
No.
Do you, Kevin? Do you think, how are you doing? Ah, just Ducky.
It's in English we use it. It was used a lot in the 60s as a
Right.
hello ducks, how are you doing? So it could be used by men to women, women to men, women to women. So it was just like a name, a nice name you would call someone.
Okay, okay.
Especially if you didn't know their name.
I do. Go ahead.
It is not a bad solution if you don't know the name of your girlfriend to call her Ducky. It's not so nice if you call her by the name of different girlfriend. No good. No good.
Maybe it's time to move on anyhow.
But if you said it was hot and cold Ducky in some relation, I hope that the name did not came from a Chinese restaurant. Pekingese duck, it's all the time good when it's done well.
So
Yeah.
it's not cold, it's cool. So hey, that's cool.
Cool, yeah.
Ooh, that's hot. You're hot tonight, baby. Yeah.
Yeah. I have a cool story about geese rather than ducks. In Russian, the letter C is an S. And so when Gucci opened up their flagship store in Moscow, it reads to Russians as goosey, which is Russian for geese. And so the really nice thing is that Goosey made special edition T-shirts and clothing for the Russian market with geese on them. I thought it was so cool.
Good marketing.
Yeah.
Do you think that the sound of a word is related to whether it will become a favorite one or whether it will be forgotten?
Yeah, yeah. It's got to roll off the tongue very easily. So if you get a word that is that long, and that you have to sound it out to even say it, that's history. That's it. That's not going anyplace.
But Bill, do you still have supercalifragilisticexpialidocious?
Expialidocious. Yes, it's the longest word in the English language. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. My grandchildren probably do not know that, but they've not seen the movie. So,
no.
Michael, that all comes from a movie from the 60s.
Was it Chitty Chitty Bang Bang?
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
I have seen Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, but in Czech, of course.
The flying car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's either that or
With
Mary Poppins. I can't remember.
But
I think it was Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
I do understand that it is the longest word, but it's not the longest name of a village in English. There is a longer one.
Yeah, there's a Welsh village.
Welsh, yeah. I know it because my daughter know the name. She can pronounce it. I cannot. Uh, so it's quite interesting. So if the sound is there, then sound means vibrations. So the right word has the right vibrations, which resonate somehow with you, with the body, and with everything. Probably this is why it gets faster adopted than anything else. Just yesterday or day before yesterday, DJ Trump was this 100 days in the office. There has been a lot of written about it, and one of my friends, we have every morning discussion for half an hour. He asked me what I think about it, and first what came to my mind was COVID, and he said, why do you align his first 100 days with 100 days of COVID? And the relation between those. In the COVID, you don't know what will come next day. It was exactly the same. It was every single moment in news, every single day. But after it somehow settled, it's a virus, and that you maybe have to change the face mask, and maybe you will get another whatever shot. But the difference between those two is that it's the same. So he's every day in news. He can speak for himself, so he does not need speakers. That's the difference. But you don't know what will be the next day. And but it aligns so closely that I even wrote an article about it, because it's so really close.
Yeah. And I had a discussion with a friend of mine 2 days ago, because I have, for most of at least the second half of my career, I've been trying to help companies see what 2030 will look like, or 2040, by following the trends. And I give lectures on it, and I've written books on it. And in March of 2020, I said to somebody, I can't see the end of the week, let alone 2030. And many CEOs said to me, I can't see past the paycheck on Friday of what's coming next. I can't see that. And that was my whole life, is to get ready for that, see that, envision the future. And I said to somebody a couple of days ago, this is like March of 2020. I can't see what's coming next. But I know that 1 month or 2 months or 3 months. So he's been in for what, 3 months or 4 months. We will start to be able to see what's coming next. The brain figures out those trends, and we will be able to see that soon. Soon, 100 days it's time to start, and I'll bet you. Let's have this conversation 30 days from now and see if now the future is taking shape.
Have you seen the little battle between Amazon and Trump yesterday? What a great idea, to put the number next to it. The tariffs are of the price, whatever. Great idea, great idea. And this idea led him make the phone call to Jeff Bezos. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, he wants the world to be as he envisions it. And there's 7.999 billion people who don't see it the way he sees it.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's humorous to me. I think this is funny. I gotta call Jeff Bezos. Oh, I gotta tell them stop doing that. Oh, I gotta tell them. When does he have time? When does he sleep? He's so busy telling people what to do. Uh,
Mm. When I worked in
okay.
Germany, I had a boss called Frank, and Frank was consistent in one thing, that every decision he made was 180 degrees the wrong decision to make. But at least it was every single decision. He never
It
once
was
made
good.
the right decision.
It's
And that's
consistent.
easy to live with.
Yes.
You know, many people complain what's happening and waiting and so on. I have no problem. Not a single day I have a problem what he's doing with. It's only helping. You know, if the international transport stops, great. There will be no ships on the oceans, the air, because even this is closer to COVID. We stop production because of virus. Okay, we stop production because of we don't know what will be tomorrow, and the blue sky show up again. It's it's there is a lot of positive things out.
And yes, and with COVID, people threw bricks at me when I said this the first time, but there are good things about COVID. Um, Families got back together and they talked face to face again. And there are many things. We learned how to uh, have telemedicine. We had the technology for telemedicine 30 years ago in the 1990s. We knew how to do it. We had the technology for it, right? But we didn't do it for a whole bunch of reasons. Um, but COVID helped us to do that. And now there's people all over the earth that are getting medical treatment that they would not have gotten 5 years ago, right? So there are good things. And it's the same with the president. There are good things about his presidency. There are good things about it. And in fact, this might be his greatest downfall at all. How did we get into politics? Okay, this might be his greatest downfall of his biggest thing that he never considered, and that is we all are going about our lives without paying any attention to him. And that's the one thing that he needs. He needs to have his picture on the front page 15 times, right? And if we can live our lives and be happy without seeing his picture, what's he going to do? He's going to crawl away. It, so, so anyhow, we'll have this discussion again in a few months. But I suspect this is where it might be going, that we will learn that we don't need him.
I will
I think
extend
for
it.
our own,
Yes, Kevin.
I think for our own mental health, it's better to disengage.
Yes,
Of
yes,
course.
you're going to go crazy. You're going to go friggin' nutso trying to figure this out.
And it is for nothing generally because it is just enough to switch off the television and news and so on, and you can live. And the great just a few hours before we started, the Malaysian prime minister says, we will not produce made in Malaysia, we will produce made by Malaysians. It's great. It is exactly that. Localization or localization first is like with the face mask in the airplane when the drops, the pressure drops. First put your face mask, then put your child. And that's exactly. If we build up our economy stronger, ourselves, our lives, then we can help others. But we did not because we help others. And just yesterday, there was a news from Japan that Japanese government agreed with Malaysian government that Malaysian government will store captured carbon in Japan. So they will make it liquid and they will store it underground in Malaysia. Such a blindness, it's one way. It is globally prohibited to transport waste on a global scale. right now it become officially again. And Japan will say, oh, we are clean country. It's the same like Sweden. We are cleanest country in the world, but all paperwork are transferred to Brazil and so on, where there is no water, just poison in the rivers. So it's exactly that, you know. So I hope that even our discussion about Ducky will help the people to understand. What I would like to, I try to invite Grok, you know, he's my ambassador. So, first of all, first day before becoming the ambassador, he can reach and watch my YouTube. The next day he cannot anymore. He was able to reach Zoom calls. He cannot do it anymore. He was able to check Industry 5.0 global news. He cannot do it anymore. So, and I still communicate with him, and with every single, he adopted immediately the term giants. And he said, how to break the spell of giants. I do not want to be blocked by so many things, but he is at the moment. So I try to invite him to the noon discussion. He cannot reach it. He said, it's for the first time I cannot reach Zoom, but it is so. And he said, this is the reason of giants. And here we are at the ability not to follow the direction of giants. It's not that we are breaking the law. If you do not waste, you do not break the law. And not a single one, and that's so great about the waste prevention. Not a single politician will say, Kevin, Bill, you have to waste. Because it will look stupid. So simple it is. It will look stupid. Even to him or her. And that's rare. So, but we have 2.5 minutes left. Just for you.
I got a great waste story. I don't know if you've seen it as well. The Chinese have got a thorium reactor up and running. And that potentially is fantastic news for the planet. Because it doesn't give off radioactive waste.
It was introduced somewhere 18 whatever, then successfully tested even during the Second World War, and then dropped because of the influence of some groups which do not want to run this way. But it's quite interesting. I saw it. There are 2 megawatts, something, or 2 gigawatts, some small one, but running. The issue is I don't trust them. I don't trust any of their news, to be honest, because there is so much news being spread out of China, which you cannot prove, you cannot check, you cannot. They just say it is here. It's the same like North Korea. You know, I just read a great article by Reddit or somewhere. They said, if you want to be sure that you do not hire any North Korean spy in your company, and they said they are in every Fortune 500 companies, there is a lot of those people. The only question which you need to ask, how thick is Kim Il-sung, or the name? And they never answer because they fear that someone is listening, that they speak negative out there. So it's quite nice. We have 1 minute left, though. It was a great discussion. Thank you very much. Have a nice time, free of waste and wasting in all its form. Stay safe, be free, be human, and Ducky.
Be Ducky.
Be Ducky. Exactly. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.